Well, and the track here is Demetori Oriental dogfight. And the pulls on audio errors, just to be clear. Um, yeah, this track is really interesting because it's also one of the most muddiest Demetori tracks there is. That's because the chords are just so hard to even figure out. The notes are so low you can't even tell what it is. Like, what the hell even is this tune? It's a really interesting track because it's basically a long breakdown until the chorus kicks in. The chorus is quite fun. It's very Toho sounding. It speeds up a bit, then it's a bridge and then a solo. It goes back into a breakdown, sort of chorus again, into an outro. Yeah, I like this track. It's just done well. The drums are great. The guitars are great. It's obviously symphonic metal. Yeah. I ain't really got anything else to say about it, it's just a good track. It's fun to listen to as well, so yeah. I tried tabbing out once and failed, so yeah, it's not fun, but anyway, let's move on. So, this is something that came to mind that I thought was interesting. Talking about Republicans against Trump. So you probably know this is going already. It's pretty obvious, to be honest. But I just find it baffling that this even exists because despite everything that's happened, there are still people voting them? What? It's just batshit insane. I get that Trump is like the least intelligent person to be put into fucking power, but it's not going to be any different if you get someone else in. This is really where my issue starts. Because that literally is the problem. Republicans are corruptible, they are oftentimes very stupid. But it just doesn't make sense. So I don't know why there are people against Trump but are still Republican. As I wrote down here in this sort of brief note, it's only one line. The only one I wrote. Corruption runs through the roots of Republicans. Yeah, explain that. That offers, move on. Literally, that's going to be the biggest problem here. If you still support Republicans, you are fucking delusional and you do not actually care. You're not even in fact a Republican, you're a fucking oligarch. And that's pretty obvious. Because despite everything you've seen, it genuinely seems like you do not see that. You don't see the corruption that runs through the roots of Republicans. At least a majority of them. There are some that don't vote for the Iran war to continue, but that's another thing entirely. But that's still a problem in itself. Yeah, some of these people exist. You know, it's a bit like people saying like, oh, reformers or whatever in the UK against Nigel Farage, or even people against what's her name, Cody Banadu? I can't remember the name, sorry. The Conservative Party leader, and even like Keir Starmer, like Labour against Keir Starmer. Like, it's nuts. I don't understand how you can even support these places knowing what you know. Because it's just obvious that there is corruption there, it's all in the roots, and yeah, given that in the UK a supposed left-leaning or middle-leaning party like Labour has gone completely far right with a lot of their policies and laws and everything, it demonstrates there is so much corruption there. It's just a no-brainer. It's really fucking odd, and yeah, what do I even say to this? It's just one of those things, it's like, what the fuck? Why? It just doesn't make sense at all. So, yeah, I don't know what to add really. It's one of those things I just can't believe this even exists. It's just how stupid people are. What is going on? I can't wrap my head around it. It genuinely feels like we're living in a fucking sitcom or something. Each day it's like, you know what I'm going to say is probably, it's going to be a new Trump tweet, it's going to be a new Keir Starmer controversy, it's going to be so many different things. This is a problem. This is why things don't necessarily change. It's because people are too stuck in their own ways, not open-minded, and just absolutely screw everything up. Just for some selfish bias or agenda. It really depends. Certainly it happens. But it shouldn't be happening either way. It's disappointing to see, obviously. So, yeah, I don't really know what to add here, to be honest. There's things like, what the fuck are people doing? What are they thinking? Like, do they even look at the internet? Even look online? Even talk to people? It's often the question I have when it comes to these things. So yeah. Sure what else to add, really. So yeah, I guess that's it. That's what I think of, so let's move on. So, I'm already attempting the Dr. Career Daily Dozen, and I'm already encountering hiccups. It turns out there's some things that just make it extremely complicated, more so than it needs to be, so I managed to measure out my oats and stuff, as I do, and also the things with it. So berries done, other fruits I've only done a portion because I forgot to look, and does I need a bit more. I caught a cup of freeze dried fruit. I'm gonna need to find other things. So I imagine this might include having to get bananas again with enough. Should be able to store them. I usually freeze them. Weird fact. I freeze bananas because they last longer and they retain their flavour. Because at the moment they start getting that black tinge to it, it's when they're good. But after that, it's like they're gone. They just taste awful to me and don't retain any flavour or anything. So I might have to get bananas again, really enough. I haven't had them in a while. Although the only issue is they get weird sort of, not infections, but you know, what do you call it? I don't know, they sometimes end up being weird. I don't understand why. It's a bit confusing in that sense. I think for freeze-dried fruit, because I'll say the banana will be a medium fruit, I've got raisins. But I'll get apricots probably as the next one. I did try dates and I was not keen. A bit weird. Yeah. Thing is, I like orange, but I hate the fucking texture. And just looking at the things here. Freeze-dried apricots probably the best one. I'm not actually that keen on them, but I know as a flavour it's decent. It's just very sort of strong and perfumey, and it might actually impact it positively on breakfast. So yeah, certainly need to deal with that. Beans. I'm also not sure what to do with this exactly. Because this is just like a bit of hummus, and I put like 2 times sauce on it. If I have a quarter of that each day and then a half on one day, it's already like the beans are done. It's 2 beans per meal. But I also need to have like a whole can of beans each day to just fucking keep up, which is, yeah, I suppose I could just halve and halve it, so maybe with one meal I have lentils and one meal I have beans. But on some days I could do like a bolognese and then switch up, so beans for lunch, lentils for dinner. That's the way I sort of visualise it, but I've also got tofu, so it's not that bad. So yeah, I've already looked into this, obviously. Cruciferous vegetables is going to be a tough one, I think, because there aren't many I really like, and that's because I've been put off them many times. So I can handle broccoli, I think. might have to be frozen, it depends. They put at the bottom of my list actually that any fridge can be frozen pretty much. Well, with some exception obviously, but they can. I don't know radishes, I don't know what some of these are sometimes. What is kohlrabi? Kohlrabi rather. Mustard greens sound nice, but I don't know where to find them in the UK. It doesn't seem to be very specific to the UK, which is a shame. Definitely will have cauliflower. I can handle cabbage if it's sort of boiled, but even then it's hard to use up. So it's better to just have these neutral foods, which I can enjoy. Cruciferous vegetables not bad. Greens I'm not sure if that means like the same things. I don't know what is considered a green here. Like beet greens, I know that's like the top of them. Don't know what collard greens are. Kale is the one I recognise, which I'm not a fan of. But I'll try it again. Sorrel, don't know what the fuck that is. It sounds like an apology. Spinach. I can handle spinach, but it doesn't really cook well. So why are the portions so weird? It's just like 1 cup raw and then half cup cooked or something. So, I don't know that. Oh, because it shrinks when it cooks. Yeah, that makes sense actually. Well, I guess you do a cup serving into that and then, yeah, okay. Maybe I don't need kale then. Didn't realise that. Although only 2 portions, so actually that's a good point. So I might still need it anyway. Other veg is kind of easy to do. It's basically anything but the things I've written down. So onions, pepper, even potatoes, which technically can count. Got happy about potatoes. Oh, technically it's only sweet potatoes. Pepper potatoes, I've never tried them. I don't know if they exist actually. But I'm just gonna go with potatoes as like the other veg, technically speaking. It just makes the most sense, and that could also do a portion. Not only that, I don't know where rice comes into this. Like, is there rice on it? No. So I also have like tons of rice, so it'd be good to use that up somewhere. Nuts pretty easy to do. I like peanut butter, flaxseed, easy. Herbs and spices, it will happen naturally because I tend to use spices anyway when I cook herbs. Whole grains, pretty much easy to do. Oats and then other noodles, which are not that great honestly, but they'll do. Bread. The bread will work. Also popcorn for some reason counts, which is interesting. Like 3 cups of pops. 3 cups? Eh? And that's one. Huh? Okay. That's actually an insane amount because when they expand, I've cooked lots of homemade popcorn. A cup is plenty. In fact, even half a cup is enough. It fills an entire bloody mixing bowl, so why the hell is it 3 cups? I find that a bit bizarre. Unless you like crunch it down so and like compress it, it's like maybe make like a faux Rocky Road or something. So I don't know. That's a bit weird. Beverages easy done. Exercise easy done. I've already had 1 beverage today, so I'll get on to the others soon. So that's 8 out of 24 again. So I think for lunch I'm going to need to figure out something. So I got, for lunch is going to be the sandwich I made, that's one thing. I ain't got any cruciferous vegetables, so I don't know what to do about that. It's going to have to leave it. Greens, again, not really having anything, although kale counts towards it, so that's such a good thing to have kale then. Yeah, what are... again, I wish I knew what these greens were. There's spinach counts towards it as well. So that should be addressed as long as I'm having that almost every meal, I suppose. Other veg, pretty easy to do, I don't know what's that though. The beans pretty much done. Almost done, rather. Got something I can have then tomorrow. Have I? I don't know. I don't know if it's sort of hard to prepare for sometimes. And also I need like lots of seasoning with these things because that's the thing with this. I tried whole foods plant-based once and it's a pain in the ass. It's just difficult to do because the reality of it is I'm almost food avoidant, which is kind of a warning sign I'm going down the ARFID route very slowly but surely. And that also complicates these things, so the options become limited, and even though I'm not using this checklist as necessarily a way to replace my current diet, in fact, I want to have it so that I have processed food with it, so I can tolerate it. So say I have, again, like the spinach and maybe a bit of kale, like it depends on what I'm having. Maybe a cruciferous veg or something. I'll have that with, what's it called? I'm trying to think. I'll have that with like a Beyond Burger. And that will help me tolerate it. Because even though I don't mind the flavour, it can be an issue to an extent. That could also be a thing. No, horseradishes are cruciferous. A few options though. Brussels sprouts are mixed on. Sometimes taste earthy, sometimes don't. That's the other thing, when they taste earthy, it's fucking horrible. Radishes, at least, are cruciferous, which is good. I like them. I wonder how you could prepare them better. Biggest problem with radishes is they're too crunchy. So, can you cook radishes to make them softer or something? How to cook guide. Radishes, greens, rose, paper spinach. This is a very healthy vegan meal. Chickens, okay, know that. Heat or... Also, this is one of the few articles that doesn't start with a fucking story. Okay, how to cook guide. Good job. So, heat oil and large skillet, add radishes in a single layer. With a flat side down, sprinkle with salt and pepper, let radishes cooked on stir for 3 to 4 minutes. Flip and brown the other side. Okay, does this mean that it's like soft though? That's the thing, it looks kind of solid in the image. It's hard to say. I don't know. How do you cook radishes to soften? Because let's go that route instead. Let's like put that on the fresh list as well. Running out of room, I need to make a new fucking list, I think. Oh, I have tomatoes there. That's another veg, I think. I don't like tomatoes, it's quite good. Especially salad tomatoes, I think they keep in the fridge, which is a good thing. Speaking of which, I do need to potentially make like a salad thing or something. What is it? You know, a tray to just put part of my fridge to keep it fresh and stuff. I like that to sit over the top of another thing I have in there. It's a bit much just sweet, tender, but I don't want it tender, I want it soft. Whether my radishes just go soft? I'm a sweet innocent child. I don't know, it'll be a discovery, I think. Also, I have an air fryer, so potentially a way to make it cook now, I don't know. Yeah, like, shopping list so far is already confusing as fuck. It's probably going to cost a lot of money, this is the problem. Because it doesn't seem very optimal for a weekly shop. At most, I'd say that the limit is like, what, £50 for a weekly shop, which isn't too bad. I think that's honestly good these days. So I remember it used to be £30 and that's what I used to go for. What the fuck is on my nose today? But it's gone bad, again obviously. So I'll do like a Tesco, let's say. So go over 4-day plus hummus. Not that it actually has an actual date. Or it'd just be better to go with like a 500 grams actually, like Ramona's original heavenly hummus. I actually like this stuff, it's good, so I'll pay the extra for that I think, maybe. Yeah, just because I like supporting these better companies like Jalapeno seems nice. I get that. Oh, it's logging. Great. Why does it keep logging me out? I've always been logged into this fucking site. It's so dumb. Oh, there's more options now. Okay. Okay, so that's in there. So you're doing shopping with me. Tofu. This often ends up good, but I don't mind the cheap stuff. Depends on what I get, really. So let's go with like plant chef. I could get a normal one and a smoked one. It's similar price, I guess, but it varies it a bit. So there's my tofu, beans, egg, broccoli. Do we do frozen or fresh? I think frozen might be better in my opinion, because there's room in the freezer as a result of this, and I need to keep room for other things. So what about cauliflower? Well, you get cauliflower and broccoli flour mix as well, so that's okay. We could get 2 of them instead, and that'll work just as well. Not a bad amount though, like £1.35 or 900 grams. Just kind of nuts. So it deals with that. Spinach, depending on the date, I might have to get frozen. The frozen spinach was a bit awful, I don't know. Depends on what the other thing is, like kale. Like, I reckon frozen kale might be better, potentially. So go with like a fresh spinach. Let's see, baby, or let's go baby spinach, yeah. There we go, kale. So that'll be 80p, please. So they don't do frozen ones anymore. That's a bit weird. I guess I'll just have to keep an eye on the date for that. Hope it doesn't go off. So let's do bananas. I go over 6 packs usually when I go to the supermarket. So 6 packs, 75p. Although the size does matter. Actually, I'm kind of wrong with that. Because if it's too small, it's pointless. But if it's too big, it's fine. And obviously, I'll take half of it off so that it counts as like a half fruit. That's my plan with that. And then I freeze the rest, ones I don't use, obviously. So yeah, let's do like tomatoes. It goes well with spinach, classic round tomatoes, or vine wrapped. I do notice a difference between vine wrapped, but I'm just gonna go with normal because it doesn't matter too much. Even fried tomatoes, if you're like struggling with things to do with them, they do end up quite well. Put red stitches, radish. I'm going to do 1 pack, so yeah, let's go with that. 69p. Same with the tomatoes actually, yeah. Those clove cards. Wait. 50p? Yeah, what? Oh yeah, clove card for that, yeah. I'm stupid. Berry mix. I always get these frozen. So like the perfectly imperfect berries are perfect, ironically. It's 3 round, not bad. So I go with like some chips, frozen chips as a thing, and rice would be a good carb as well. So I would add rice to this actually, yeah. Have I got that? No. So do like rice at the bottom. I like microwave, I can't boil mine. It sucks. I can't flavour it either, that's the problem. So yeah. I got after, so I get like a big pack of big chips. I always go in the games, the best ones. It's already at £22, which is interesting. So again, it sort of leaves me room for like extra things when I have like a bit of money left over. So yeah, let's do raisins. 1 kilogram. That's perfect seedless raisins. Let's do apricot as well. I'm not keen on them. It'll do soft apricots. No, I thought they said. Hey, have I misinterpreted what apricots are? I think I might have. The soft apricots, I guess, will do. Sun-dried for sweetness. I don't know how much of that I need to add though. I'm not sure about that. It's already been ready to eat. Soft What's the difference? Oh, I don't know. I feel like I'm losing my mind here. Spices I don't really need to do, it's just be one of those things I need to stock up if I can. So I like canned sweet corn, that'd be a nice extra veg. So, oh fuck. Which should I go with? Because I usually go with like the big lot, but the small lots have been handy, but I guess the big lot might be better. So I think that's more in line with what a cup is that? So let's go with like the naturally sweet corn. Yeah. How many? I'll just get 2, I think. Same with carrots and peas. So there'll be like extra veg, and there's also extra options. I like carrots in a can. I don't like raw. I tried raw recently. It's just kind of hit or miss. So sliced carrots. Actually, I could reduce the sweet corn. Actually, now I think about it, as an extra portion of veg. And peas. Peas I'm a bit skeptical about because of fucking snails. I get frozen. It just seems like a better option for me. Although I can get peas and sweet corn. Yeah. I think I prefer like garden peas or something. So that's pasta. Yeah, pasta's a good one. I'm not sure if you need like a specific one. It says like whole grain, but I don't know what you mean by that. Is it no pasta or what? Whole grains, cooked whole grains, whole wheat pasta, or corn kernels. So again, it's sort of hard to say. And what's the image there? That just looks like macaroni. So whole wheat pasta. Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, so it is pasta. So I like shells usually. Not sure if that's good value for money though. So maybe thinking I need to go with something a bit more generous. So maybe the macaroni, like spirelli. I quite like spirelli when I actually go for it. Spirelli. It's cheap as well, 75p. Yeah. And people say vegan is expensive. That's so dumb. Breads. It's apparently whole grain bread. I'm quite a fan of like sourdough and stuff. That's the problem. Oh, Jason's do a whole meal sourdough. Is it vegan though? Yes, it is. Only a small loaf, but that'll do. I could probably use it in a week. So I've got spices twice. Oats. Oats are going to be weird because I have a cup of them a day, obviously. It's porridge oats, 2 kilograms. Scottish oats. And that's £2.60. But plant milk. Oh, this is going to be a tough one actually because they don't always show in the results. Yep, nothing shows plant. So what's it come under anyway? Vegan drink? No. Some of it does. I don't know what department it is. They obviously don't allow that anymore. Can't call it milk for some stupid fucking reason, even though everyone knows it's milk. It never confused anyone. So drinks, nope. Don't see it. Like, what the fuck? I can't even find it. What category is this even under on here? Does it even say? Can't see it. So I'm not sure. I guess I'll go with like, I'll write the names in it actually. That works. But fuck, I cracked the case. So I'll probably go with like a mix of 2. So, I could do soy as well, and that's a search term. Tons of things now. But yeah, I get like the cheaper milks and then one in between to sort of fill it up. So maybe I'll put chocolate protein, need 2 of them. So chocolate bar protein. Could go with Oatly for a cheaper option, but protein, actually, do I need it? No. Don't actually need protein, then again. No, the price is the same on Cold Gold, so no. I get the protein, fuck it. Let me get it ripped. Soy sauce, maybe. I guess I'll go with Tesco soy Well, the one that, even though it can have a weird taste sometimes, soy milk, soy drink. I mean, I always go a long life. Unsweetened, probably because of the chocolate one. Also the berries as well, so I get two of them, and that sort of works together. So now I've got the sort of meal sorted out, breakfast, and that's good. So the other meals are done. Then microwave rice, and that'll replace the things when I microwave. What? What did I write that in? I would like a new microwave actually. This one's so fucking loud. Why is it? There's something weird about the results. I think it's ad blocker. So I'll probably go with like golden rice and coconut rice. Coconut's good for the curries and stuff I make, and gold is just a good all-rounder. There are others, but I'm not a fan of them really. One coconut probably I'll do for 2 meals, and then just 2 golden. Yeah, like £48. So yeah, it's still a bit expensive in a way, but there is room for other things, I guess, and also with prices increasing. Not really much you can do about that. So it's still reasonably affordable, I think. So if you're paying for a family, it's a bit difficult. I do see that there could be an issue here. I think for the most part it would work, having this sort of list. But I'm trying to sort of look for a way to fill out the list. I did ask on the Reddit, and annoyingly I got an AI responded to me. Literal AI, because you could see the account was made a few months ago and it has 100k karma somehow. I'm not sure how. Strangely enough, a similar comment karma. It just said irrelevant things. Like what? Like if I look in the applicant and I'll double check this, then it doesn't. Tweaks don't do anything. What's that? And then the drop down list, cookbook, nothing. There's nothing about the shopping list, so it becomes a problem there. So I don't know exactly the best way to address that. Certainly becomes problematic. But as I said, this shopping list is fairly sized. I wouldn't say this fills up a trolley though, it's actually kind of small, it fills up a small trolley. It's also not family sized, but it's still, I know it's not the best thing. And places are going to vary in prices. It's Tesco, and it's usually kind of generous in a way. It's usually a bit more lenient with prices, I think. Yeah, but I suppose like one of the other things to note is with something like raisins and apricots, although I could take off apricots actually now I think about it, that gives you a bit more room. So it's like one of those things, you won't use all the berries up, for example, you won't use all some of the other things up, like the bananas, then I'm using only halves. Tofu you might not even use up. That's 4 days, and then 1 day I'm going out, so I don't cook, and another day I'm having lunch, so I don't cook there either. So 2 meals of the week are not by me, which is fine. Obviously, how many is it? 21 minus 2, is it 19? Yeah. So 19 meals are done by me, and that's all. This is for 19 meals, which is, I think, kind of a bargain. So I think you have to look at it from that perspective, and then that's not even taking into account leftovers. So like the peas, for example, you're not going to use 1.6 kilograms in a week. You're not going to use maybe even the broccoli and cauliflower in a week. So again, it leaves room for extra things, so I could just go to the fresh food and check that is there a treat that I can have, something more processed. Where's children? There it is. It's not hard to even shop. Will it load? Why is it buffering? Okay. Demetori lifestyle. What the fuck is up with... Where's vegan gone? Some reasons are hidden. So yeah, like, this is why I sort of do my part in the shopping. I just look for treats, and Beyond Burger would be nice. It's £3 at Tesco, which is not bad. Like that. It's a nice thing to have. I'd also have like a bean bag. This is the other thing. Some of the treats can incorporate elements of it. So even though there's like processed food here, you could just go with something different, like a falafel, which already takes into account beans because it's chickpeas. So chickpeas are beans, tofu is beans. You are beans. I think we all knew that. Weirdo. It just works out when you actually look into this. I think besides one of the Beyond Burgers, I'll go with frozen. Because there ain't much else in the fridge I'm interested in. What's a frozen nose? Got weird layout now. I swear they've changed it again. Frozen lifestyle. Why is halal in the vegetarian? Would it be halal anyway? I'm confused. Anyway. Yeah, I got nicer stuff here actually. Burgers again. Got this freeze them as well. Corn, crunchy fillet burgers. Do I like them? Hang on, they're not vegan, are they? Why are they even showing up? Because I remember looking at these in the supermarket, and I thought they look nice, but what have they got in them? I'm pretty sure they had egg. It's not showing up. That's interesting. So, okay, they don't have egg anymore, which is weird. Tasty vegan fillet. Okay. I'd go with like the buffalo though, not these. Something with flavour, and they also have bean burgers here and veg burgers as well. Which again, they count as your veg. They technically count, so even if you have these treats, I have both veg burger and veggie. Why the fuck has it gone to price? What's going on with the interface? So add the spicy bean burger. So that also counts. It's one of those things that just works out at the end. Where's that the only stuff on it? 1 to 24, they've reduced it, what the fuck? There used to be more things on it. Okay, they've even got rid of the vegan fish coupons, which is really disappointing because that was really nice. They do have green cuisine fish fingers, which are good, I guess. I'm already at £50, but I'd also just go have an extra thing here. I'd also like get stuff online. So I didn't include like flaxseed, milled flaxseed, because I don't think you can find that in stores. So I get that online, and with something like, what am I thinking? Like something to flavour it. I probably can find that in shop, so I'll buy like a different thing. It depends on what it is, obviously. You can get syrups, you can get even like physical things like will add calories, which is kind of a problem. Also, snorting's been weird. I've had all those oats and not had a single need to go to the toilet. So I wonder if it's like a case where my body just isn't like filling up properly. Never really considered it. Also, you need to get like foods, like sauces and stuff. So all this works out. If you actually calculate it, in the end, it works. But there's also that skeptic in me that's like, okay, maybe over time this is a bit expensive. You never know. So yeah, I don't know what to add, but that's my attempts at daily dozen essentially. So yeah, let's move on. Well, I just finished a series I've been meaning to finish for a while. Although I was waiting for it to release and be dubbed, so that's where I got at with that. The series, for anyone wondering, is My Hero Academia, Season 8. Well, I've seen pretty much every other season. Though I do need to see Two Heroes, Heroes Rising and World Heroes Mission, and you're next. I don't know where to find those though. Seems to be a rare find. If I'm not mistaken. Daniel. Okay, they are on Crunchyroll. Let's have a hero's mission, but there's another thing. Yeah, I'm honestly surprised. Uh, you know, I dunked on My Hero Academia for the longest time, and that was also because of its nature of just being absolute cringe at the start. It was bad. I just don't know where they've gone wrong with this. And I think it's just mainly to do with the fact that they're doing so much like building and stuff, and waiting to get to a point where there's actually anything interesting going on, because it was like basically just slice of life. And eventually we get to the part that's good, which is the not so slice of life part. It's more like slice of hell, if that even is a genre. But it should be, because this series, actually, this season, as well as the last one to some extent, was literally the embodiment of that. Just literally slice of hell. Just through and through. And that was shown with graphic details and the more maturity, and that's one of the issues as well. They just didn't have the level of maturity in the earlier seasons. Because it started to change around, I think, 6, maybe 1 bit in. But yeah, I think it took a while to get there, and that's the biggest shame with the entire series. Has it made it good enough for me to think, or rather to put it high up as like one of the best things I've ever seen? No. Even despite how good this season is, it doesn't do that. But anyway, the season itself, I think it has good things here and there. I think the animations are pretty good. I do notice there is a bit of rather, what do you call it? I think they've probably got a lower budget on this animation. I've noticed some very interesting frames and still images on this. But it's not quite well animated or animated enough, but sometimes it's just a whole mess of nothing. You can't actually tell what's going on. And that's probably one of the biggest issues with the animation here, rather than the amount of like still frames and stuff. And also just how jumpy things are, rather than sort of smooth frame rate, which you kind of expect. Although it's mainly like 12 FPS probably, or 7, depends on how many each anime uses actually. I think in this you're lucky to even get like 2 sometimes. Even then, frames are determined by the amount you draw rather than the actual frame rate, because the actual frame rate will be higher than the actual drawing. I know this from animating myself. But you will have like pan effects and zoom ins and stuff, and maybe even like shaking, which isn't the same frame rate. Which is probably a good thing, because that means it's probably what do you call it, a bit smoother. But yeah, animation is just meh. But it's good, obviously better than a lot of other shows out there, but still not quite there in ways. It's seen better, like One Piece, obviously one of the best animations I've seen in recent. I'm kind of trying to think of what others. I haven't seen an anime in a while. Freerun, probably really good, if I remember it correctly. Pokemon, pretty good. Yeah. So the next thing is obviously the voice acting, I think, since we're going into arts here. Yeah, the voice acting is pretty damn good. I did really like this one. It's different, and it's also very interesting to hear Bakugo about his usual like sort of top of the lungs sort of voice. I found that fascinating. I don't remember hearing it in the previous seasons, but it's been almost over 2 years now since I last watched My Hero Academia anyway. Yeah, I've still been waiting ever since really, for that to release. It's so good that there's a final season, not just a fucking jumbled mess. It's like final season part 1, final season part 2, like fuck me. Why is this even a thing? They need to stop this shit. It's so fucking cringe. Just call it season whatever. Like, just It's so fucking dumb. So yeah, acting pretty good. Next thing to talk about, like, can't really comment on characters because they're already all a thing, really. They have their personalities and stuff. Characters are all very in line with what they're doing and stuff as well, so not really any surprises there. So, not really much to comment on about, but the series overall, obviously, characters are pretty good actually. I've never really had too many complaints about them. Just unique in their own way and different personalities and stuff. Obviously the quirks as well that give them that power. Yeah. And also sweet innocent Deku. What's it called? Deku. His voice actors are Deku, but yeah, Deku's kind of just his usual self really. But yeah, story-wise in this though, the action is too. It's all pretty good. I can't really fault it. It's pretty intense, but it does suffer with a pace issue. But it goes more into like monologuing rather than actual fighting, and as a result, you still have these cases where it's like a 3-minute fight takes place over a 20-minute episode, and it's kind of dumb. I managed to watch it all in one sitting somehow, from the afternoon today to no, not in one sitting, but actually the same day. Just kind of impressive, I think. I watched all 12 episodes, or was it 13? I can't remember now. Yeah, it's just a good story all around, and some twists and turns here and there. Some not so surprising, some not. She did a good job of that, trying to tamper with expectations and stuff. Although I think there was a bit of a wreck on, I could be wrong, involving Night Eye. Is that his name, Night Eye? Oh, God, I can never remember the names, that's the other problem. There's no labels for them. So I don't know, they don't mention the names enough. Obviously I know like the main ones like Deku, Uraraka, Bakugo, and obviously they've got their hero names as well. But there's so much to keep track of, especially when they retain what are essentially Japanese names, which can be a bit complicated, but also it's fine having Japanese names. Begin to wish the names were mentioned more, so that it sticks with you. And what else was there? God, trying to think. Yeah, I think it is tired. I think it's a really good ending. Yeah, basically, even despite the final battle, it still goes on, which is interesting. Explains some elements, although it did have one which I'm confused about. They sort of ended technically the actual final episode with something weird, which is a certain character appearing. And I'm very confused about this and the interaction with the old lady, but I'm so fucking confused about what that was. Is that who I think it is, or is it an entirely different character? I just cannot understand what that was about. There was no explanation, no follow-up in the later episodes, other than maybe there's one character you meet, but I don't know. It's just hard to say. But one of the nicest things about this ending, and I won't spoil much, is that you just get to see some surprising elements about how characters are actually treated like human beings, which is interesting. Yeah, like most shows will go like a really absurd route with them continuing to be who they are, but in this case it's actually surprising. Like, you have to see it for yourself. I genuinely wasn't expecting that. Given that, again, the level of maturity we saw from the previous episodes, but they have actually matured, which is nuts. So yeah. But overall, and including like the extra episodes, one that says more, I think it's good. It's a good season and obviously a good series overall. it's something you can watch if you're bored and you think you could still enjoy it. So yeah, like, it's just one of those things, I think. But then I've got to watch the movies, I believe, and I don't know exactly what when to watch them. Like, I'm so fucking confused where these are from. So I've never seen these before. I even need to watch Vigilantes, which I'm kind of curious about because that seems like it's a different concept. But perhaps it follows another thing. I don't know. What the hell could Vigilantes be about? It's got All Might in the image. It's got Zala, um, and Falcon as well. I don't know who that is at the top, but yeah, is that the engineer lady? I can't remember her name. But there might be something there anyway. So yeah, again, still more to go, and I think I'll review them as they come. I think I don't know. Like, is there anything else here? I was going to watch these before season 8 actually, but I didn't look them up for some reason. It's a kind of my mistake, I suppose. But yeah, I think other than this World of Heroes mission, which I can't find for some reason, yeah, I guess there's still more to go, so I'll prepare for that. I guess continue the same document I have. Yeah, but it's been interesting either way, so yeah, I do recommend it. I forgot to say, I've got to do recommendations. I do recommend the show, even with the slice of life stuff, to be fair. There are good moments, but again, kind of funny to laugh at how immature it is and how stupid it is. But yeah, anyway, let's move on. So, sorry I've been blabbering on about this for seemingly a few days now, but I want to give an update on my daily dozen progress and also an issue I've really encountered, which is how the fuck am I supposed to eat this? So, day one I tried this, it was just on the impromptu rather. Managed 11 off 24. Yesterday I managed 20 off 24, which is an improvement. Yeah, I managed to squeeze things in and get it to work, which certainly helped there. I got all the essential bits, I think, but I was just missing like other fruit. But I have encountered a big flaw with this, and it is probably going to be the thing that makes me stop. So if I go to today, I've had berries, I've had a bit of other fruit, I've had flaxseed, nuts. I haven't had spices yet, but I've had whole grains, allegedly. But does it still say whole cup? Yeah, whole cup cold cereal. So yeah, that's the problem. It's filling, and I'm already struggling with this. Done beverages, but about to do exercise as well. Try to do it anyway. Bloody boiling today. I've done 8 out of 24 just in the morning, meal alone. So I'm expected to do the other, seemingly, through through the next meals. Which I don't know if that's even possible. And I ate so much yesterday that I just felt full after every meal. And I don't know if that's even healthy for me, because I was having processed foods with it to just cope with the flavour of things and just enjoy it. But at this point, I'd rather just go for a middle ground, so rather than a daily dozen, I think I'd just go for daily half, I guess. So maybe the same amount of berries, maybe a bit of extra fruit, so the half a banana would work. Half the amount of beans, so 1.5 cans per day, seemingly. Then, because of vegetables, I'll just have if I need it. Greens, also have if I need it. Other veg, I'll have if I need it, so I have to like split things up and have it together so I could mix peas with my noodles again, which I've done before. It works alright, not the best texture honestly. And we could also mix cruciferous veg in that. But I could also have other veg and greens with my main meal and have less like chips, for example. Like chips do count as another veg, so maybe not. So I have greens with that. But then keep the flaxseeds and nuts as normal, herbs and spices already have anyway. Whole grains, the problem with whole grains is just the amount of fucking... the amount of oats you need to have, which is 1 cup. Like, it's an insane amount. You don't really realise it, but I've been having so little oats. I've had like I think it was like half a cup each day, and yeah, it's quite troubling in that sense because it's overwhelming. It's just weird. And how much do you need according to this? I can't find it as to do. I can't do it on my phone anyway. So it doesn't. Oops. I don't know. Let's look up actually. So the most irrelevant things. Meal plan for the previous day doesn't okay. What's breakfast? So breakfast. Muesli. I forget that's a thing. Yeah, I guess muesli can work at lunch. It's it's not a bad meal plan, but it's kind of like yeah. The problem is I want to incorporate other foods with this, so it's like I need to actually get things sort of rolling in that sense, ironically. Try nutrition facts. I try to find the... Why does it come up? The fuck is with DuckDuckGo? Nutrition facts. Okay, that comes up. So is it more specific? So open on nutrition facts. Unload. Yep. Let's do. See if it's like a cup. Cup? No. Why is it not even mentioning that? Measure. Doesn't even say the quantity, so oats. Overnight oats. Just a recipe. I don't know. It can't be right though, because 1 cup is so fucking dense. It's actually just an insane amount, and that's really why I'm struggling. At least at the moment. So I might have to just go to half a cup. So, what does it say here? Oh, okay, overnight oats, half a cup of old-fashioned quick cook oats. Is that right? Breakfast the night before we go to breakfast in the morning. Okay. It also shows the daily dozen, which is interesting. You could do it based on serving, so if you want to serve like 12 people. Okay, so there's some really cool things. Wow. Yeah, that is impressive. Yeah, it counts as a daily dozen apparently, so got obviously berries, flaxseed, what's that, nuts, spice, and then whole grain. So yeah, I can see that's all working. I thought it was an unusual amount, but that means I've already got 2 fucking whole grains in my system, I think. So I'm very confused about the measurement. Like, what the hell's going on with that? Just says suggested serving size is 100%. 1 cup of whole grain called 2. But it doesn't say for oats, and this is one of the problems with the app. It's not really showing you the amount you need to have. So, yeah, it's quite taxing in that sense. I'm also finding when I have lunch and stuff. I had lunch yesterday, I had what was I having? I had a sandwich, and I had that with some beans. And I had a crisp after, but it was a bit kind of filling. as I sort of expected, because like, you can't really fit this into a diet that I'm doing, which is again like a balance. I was just trying my best with a lot of these things. I think at this point it's just a case where I have to put in the essentials. So yeah, I don't really know what exactly to do about this, because it's hard to balance things out. You know, I guess with like cooking meals, for example, if I do the curry, I'd have to use like spinach and broccoli potentially, spinach or broccoli, because that gets one or two things done. There's that cruciferous vegetable, and kale is for some reason, but greens, spinach is on there, kale's on there as well. I'd have to retry kale, I think. I tried it a while ago and it's like horrible texture, but I need to retry it. Yeah, so it's very strange. Like, I don't even know how to address this exactly, so I wonder if people talk about this getting full on the daily does it, because even without the processed foods I'm talking about, does it even, like, what the fuck? Fuck is that noise? It would probably fill you up. It's just weird. I don't know what the fucking noise is. Neighbour's been doing this for fucking hours for some reason. See what the fuck is going on out there. Yeah, I don't know what that is. You know, this is the issue. I'm trying to eat healthier, and I can't because these requirements are quite absurd. Beverages fine, exercise fine, whole grains is where you get to one of the problems. As honestly, people live off fine with just 2 slices of bread, and that does 2 of the daily dozen. So I guess the extra one is just to fill you up, so I'd cross one out for that. And then spices, nuts, fair. Flaxseed, fair. Other veg, I don't know. What are the servings again? Got a cup of dried mushrooms here. 1 cup of raw leafy greens or half a cup of cooked. Yeah, I do think that's a bit kind of unbalanced. I guess it does make sense though. It's like 1 of 5 a day as well, automatically, even though people don't really follow that. But 2 servings of that? Like, no thanks. I'll just have that stuff naturally, so sweet corn, peas, whatever else it is, and that also counts as a green. So I guess like trying to get 1 green and 1 other veg is a sort of goal there, I suppose. But if it's a green, then it's another veg. So some of these things don't even belong together in a way. Or tied together, and in fact, if they allowed you to pick the fucking veg you can do on the app, it'd probably automark things, so maybe have like another veg, like, I don't know, did chickpea count as another veg? No, for some reason. You know, it is a vegetable. I don't know what the guideline is exactly. Yeah, as I said, it's just frustrating. I don't really understand the thing with this. The site isn't really well presented here, and the app, for that matter. I can't really make sense of it. So yeah, it's just very strange. Trying to look, is there anyone else talking about this? No. Not really a good site talking about it anywhere. As I said, I think the balance really is just there. It's just getting them out the whole thing. So I think for me, a can of beans a day will do. Same berry sort of can. I'll probably do like, I wonder if I could tweak it. So, because they have tweaks on it, but I'm not sure That is exactly. No, don't think you can tweak it tomorrow. Um, yeah, but I'm not sure. I don't know if I'll keep it on there. I might keep it on there as a guideline. And I'll just have to do half and half of that. I could just write it down anyway. Might be a better option. Um, yeah, so I don't know what else to add, but that's essentially it. So yeah, that's me sort of meeting a middle ground with the Daily Dozen. So finding some sort of compromise where it can work in a way to just be optimal and be healthy. So because the amount of calories I have is a bit stupid. Also, it didn't make any impact immediately on my bowel system so far. Admittedly, I haven't heard of any flare-ups this morning, just a few like farts, but that's about it. For some reason, I create a lot of gas with this. Yeah, I don't really know what to add there. So, yeah, again, this is not the issue. Anyway, I've talked enough, so I'll move on. Well, I watched the Restore Britain video called The Mission and Philosophy of Restore Britain. It's not a philosophy, it's a fucking satire. I swear this isn't real, because a lot of the things mentioned here are just as bad as Reform. And that's really saying something. So, starting from a farm, which is not already the greatest place to start from, just due to the fact that especially animal agriculture these days is so controversial. So that's already a terrible start. Like, what the fuck are you on about? And then you also have to address the fact that climate laws have to go into effect to save crop farming. But none of that was mentioned here, spoiler alert. So again, it's an utter failure. It almost doesn't feel real. I could see myself literally disassociating if this joke of a party ever comes into existence. So yeah, that's one thing. Next thing is they'll say they recruit people from the field of science, education and industry. Like, what people? Like, who are we talking about here? Because there are so many different types of people you could be referring to. It could be an expert, but it could also be a complete fucking clown. Because they do exist. Look at America. Look at the people they've got on board for that. And you'll see exactly how that went. It's extremely stupid, and this is again why I think it's a satire. Nobody looks at America and thinks, oh yeah, shining example of what a patriotic nation could be. There is no such fucking thing. Genuinely, this feels like a satire again. I just can't make sense of it. It's such a load of bullshit. Anyway, the next thing is they're gonna tell only. Wait, I'm not gonna tell you comforting lies about the country. Yeah, about that. What lies are they? Because you haven't addressed the point. You've just said I'm not going to tell you comforting lies, but who's lying? I know Reform is, but nobody mentioned Reform here. That's another stupid thing, and even likewise, for like the left, you never hear anything about. For example, something about Islam, which we'll get into with this as well, because that's sort of an relevant point here. So again, it's just incredibly dumb. Like, what lies are they? Because we don't know what they are. We can't make an opinion, we can't form an opinion. This, for me, as someone who's unbiased and willing to hear and listen to this, I still didn't find a reason to even support this party, despite the 7-minute fucking slog that I just went through. And the next thing is, what is necessary is incredibly painful. It's not, because you don't need to do this, and that's exactly why it's going to happen. It's why there's going to be some catastrophic scenario in the UK where nobody can afford anything and nothing is safe. It's an absolute fucking lie. And the fact people believe this is really concerning. So that doesn't make sense. And I know this is referring to immigration, but I have to say on that, we've never had a problem with immigration, and we still don't. The fact is, as populations increase worldwide, like we went from, what, 16 billion? How many do we have now? So what's the human population? Obviously, a few dead. It's a war. What's the human population? Oh, it's not 16 billion. I remember it being 77.9 billion. But now it's 8.3 billion. Like, that's going to happen. You're going to find more migrants no matter what. Regardless of where they're from, they are going to exist because there's more people in the world. So again, it's a really stupid point. Doesn't need to be said. So, again, the pain is going to be what's going to come as a result of that. Again, I'll mention this later, but they say reverse mass immigration is what they're going to do and restore Britain. Then I said, well, good luck with that, because your Chinese, Indian, Thai and Italian food will come with it. Everyone gets affected by that if you reverse mass migration. But you say like you're not going to tell you the comforting lies, but then you literally are. You're making out that mass migration is a problem here, when you haven't even provided a source for this. So it's absolutely unfounded, and again, this is why I think there should be some sort of board in the government to apprehend the people and arrest people who say shit like this, who get away with saying dangerous things which then influence dangerous acts. Well, I'm pretty sure United Kingdom is technically a riot, because there's no other reason why there'd be that. It's just using it as an excuse for enacting violence and harming people, including women and children, which is ironic. But then they say in this video, refusal to work is basically a reason to deport someone. But you're already deporting all of them, but then you're saying the refusal to work is the reason why you're going to deport them? Look, they don't even have a fucking sane narrative here. They're absolutely like dunking on their own words here. They're going back on it rather. They don't even know what they're advocating for. So, is it because they're migrants or because they're not working? Make your fucking mind up. It's so incredibly stupid. And then you have to understand as well that people like myself, for example, being disabled, have autism, OCD, anxieties, and ADHD, I'm pretty sure, but lots of learning difficulties. I'm not necessarily able to work. I can't pick up things very quickly. In fact, it takes me months to realise certain things. Even learning politics itself has been quite a lengthy learning experience itself. Even then, I can only learn from it as I can because of having the pattern recognition being so helpful. As in, it's always been the way I've learned. So once again, the migration thing here is a bit stupid. So yeah, and also the majority of migrants are working in, what do you know, NHS. And then they say the same old line that Reform used: make our communities safe for women and children. But the problem though is that it's never about them. It's always about some sort of agenda. So it's like racism, violence, and these snowflakes seem to think that that's what the problem is. They seem to think the community needs to be safe for women and children when it's currently unsafe because of British people. And that's especially been demonstrated since the rise of Reform as well. So again, this is like a load of bullshit. It's like fucking ridiculous. Like, why is this even being said? Anyway, the next thing. This is something about the economy needing swathes of migrants. If I heard it right. But again, you're just completely wrong on that. They do need migrants. And I know, obviously, they're saying that we don't need them, but we do. They work the NHS. There are doctors. There are taxi drivers, even. Like, I've met migrant taxi drivers before. There are like bus workers and stuff. And even then, serving restaurants, they provide culinary experience, which we don't know the likes of. If we wouldn't have known actually if it wasn't thanks to them. So again, it makes no sense. They really have no clue what they're talking about here. Saying that they don't need migrants to work these jobs. Where are you going to get doctors then? Like, pop question, pop quiz. Where? Because where else you got less and less British people working a job at the NHS. It's a majority of migrants. Because nobody in Britain wants to work as a fucking doctor. It's not worth the pay, supposedly, even though I disagree with that. And yeah, what else do I say here? Yeah, it's just like absolute fucking absurdity. What is the next thing here? Take away tax on work enterprise and enterprise. I'm not sure what they mean by that because this isn't my level of expertise, but I can already see this being a problem in terms of it enabling a situation like the US where we have an oligarch. So they remove tax specifically from places where it benefits them most as a government. So again, it's just an oligarch sort of thing, I'm guessing. So they're, rather than taking away actual taxes from people, from what I've understood of it, they're just taken away from big business. So, you know, not the local cafe, not the local like other shops. You know, the independent ones, independent restaurants. They're taken away from corporations. So yeah, that shows you and tells you a lot about what they're about. Restore Britain. Then what's the next thing? Bloated Quango. I didn't know what this was, and I looked it up, and it's like a apparently government-owned thing. So it's a bit like a, I guess, Trump mobile or something else. It's basically government funded, I think, is what it is, and that's what the NHS is, by the way. So they want to dismantle the NHS. Huh. You would have thought the migrants would have been the primary focus there, but no. They want to get rid of free healthcare. Great. That's fucking great. Again, it shows you a lot about how satirical this is, and I looked at the comments, they feel fucking AI generated. People saying how emotional this was and how they actually have quote unquote hope. What fucking hope? Are you kidding me? There ain't no fucking hope here. This is a satire. Don't you realise that? I sometimes think I'm incredibly stupid because I don't see the things that others do or even have the same realisations. Yeah, I see something like this and I'm reminded that in terms of the average stupidity, these people far outrank anyone else. Just nuts. I can't comprehend this. So yeah, the fact that people actually believe this, it's just real bad. So yeah, like, okay, really, the NHS not good. Next thing, we all celebrate our Christian heritage, which came from migrants, by the way. So what the fuck? As far as I know, we don't actually have a Christian heritage, do we? What I've understood of that anyway, that it came from abroad. So this doesn't make sense. Like, what Christian heritage? No, it's sort of a capital in that sense for like cool looking churches and stuff, but that's it. So I don't know what they mean by this, but I know that it's not good because for what I understand of the basically Nazi Christianity, I'll call it for lack of a correct term, they literally want to be controlling of everything and have like a Christian run nation where Christianity rules above all else. Which I can tell you now is eerily similar to Sharia law. So no, we don't want that. Nobody wants Christian heritage. Everyone will hate it when it comes. If it comes, obviously. So yeah, next they say the relentless creep of radical Islam. Then this the burqa as radical Islam. Don't know if you know this, but that's religion. That's not radical at all. In fact, Jewish people wear things, and yet you specifically highlighted Islam of all places. Like, you don't highlight the Jews for their weird like mutton chops and hats and stuff, and crazy suits. Also what the other thing was. I forgot what the other thing was. Jewish people wear like rabbis and stuff. Again, this is fucking ridiculous. But that is not the issue. And then they say something like Sharia law, which I agree with, is horrible. We don't need that. And I hope that someone like the Green Party would actually, the Green Party, Lib Dems, whoever it is at this point, is good, an actual good party. I hope they block any attempt at that, because to have Sharia law here is essentially a death sentence, not just obviously for the nation, which I do care about, by the way, just not as much as others, because the narrative has been hijacked by complete numpties. But yeah, blocking Sharia law, I agree. I forgot what the other thing was. I didn't write it down actually. It wasn't that relevant anyway. But still, again, if it's radical Islam, then it needs to be proven what you're actually saying. So, the thing with the burqa, that's not an issue. Like, if someone wears a turban or something, like, depending on what their religion is, it's not a problem. It's just you taking issue with an appearance for some fucking reason. So, that's you problem. That's not a country problem. Yeah, I take more issue with like underage girls who wear fucking short skirts than I do someone wearing a fucking burqa. Yeah, where is that narrative? Genuinely. And also on that sort of thing, I'd also hold the parents accountable. So when there's a parent actually not teaching their children to not dress like scantily like that, that's a great injustice, and that is basically enabling paedophilia and stuff. But obviously this party don't actually care about women and children, so it's obvious that their intent is actually to keep things like that. So instead they use Islam as a scapegoat. Again, much like reformers, much like conservatives, and even with what Labour are doing as well. It's strange when we have like 4 parties in the spotlight that should be doing that shit. It's just nuts. So the next thing they say is I know halal or kosher slaughter, which I can be on board with, but you're still slaughtering animals in a Christian nation. Like, it's really strange that they bring this up, because what you're doing is no different. It's essentially a hypocrisy, and that's like the double standards. Because you believe one thing but don't believe the other, or the other two. Also, this is like, isn't kosher like, doesn't kosher mean what is like a Jewish thing? Enters dietary laws which are pure, observing dietary laws. No, that's not it. Traditional Jewish, yeah. So that's like the interesting thing. The weird thing is we saw Restore Britain people at United Kingdom this year. And yet, there are Jews, or supposedly Jews and Israelis standing with them. What? This doesn't make any fucking sense. They're diverse, but they're divided. As I've said before. Just what a load of fucking shit. Anyway, next thing. Together we will restore Britain. How? they didn't mention how they're going to restore it. Because all these points have been debunked already. All these points have no sources for them. And yet, they haven't suggested anything that can actually restore Britain. There's no mention of the cost of living crisis, only energy bills, which was briefly mentioned earlier. They didn't mention how hard it is to get work or fair pay, and fair pay as well. It goes without saying. They didn't mention anything relevant to restoring Britain. Instead, pulled their ideas out their arse. Because in my opinion, the way to restore Britain is to not be stricter, but rather basically get the people who are currently causing the biggest problems, which are billionaires, which are corporations. And so, obviously you do the wealth tax, and yeah, you probably knew where it was going, but that's, again, being sort of proven to be effective. If you do the wealth tax, you redistribute it into the economy. I did a calculation on this, and essentially a wealth tax can support around I think it's 330,000 people I calculated, but that was just in pay, because a universal basic income, if I'm not mistaken. That's still quite a sizable amount of people, and that would just have a lot of benefits, but that wasn't mentioned here. And with that mention of the enterprise and work sort of thing, not having taxes, that sounds like corporate speak to actually make them richer, which is exactly not what the country needs. It's just unbelievable. And yet I've seen nobody really talk about this in a strange way. It's very weird. I've not even heard it from the Green Party, I've not heard it from the Dems, or even Jeremy Corbyn, for example. I've not even heard it from Labour. So I'm wondering what the deal is here. Because they've obviously got people, I'm guessing it's botted, but they've obviously got supporters in that sense. I guess it's where ex-reform go. But I'll look it up, restore Britain in blue sky. Only restore Britain could save Britain, that makes sense. So it is billionaire funded. Great. So people are talking about it. Why is Elon Musk even fucking talking about Britain? What? It makes no fucking sense. Because this guy is not British. It makes zero sense. And then you also have to understand as well with this sort of thing. And also I swear Rupert Lowe is very familiar. I swear I've seen him on a sex offender list. I don't know if he was. I swear that's where he's from. No. But again, this just seems like Nazism in full effect, and people are just jumping on board with this. And ironically, we'll have racist gay people as well who jump on it, and then obviously gay people get their fucking rights revoked. It's just ridiculous. And what's this original tweet from Lowe then? Restore Britain is under brutal assault by the establishment. What establishment? You haven't even mentioned anyone. It's listen to me when I say this, they want us gone. Everything will be thrown at us, false allegations, dishonest polling, media. You fucking lost the local elections, you fucking tot. It's a voting system. What do I even say to this? It's no wonder people don't take them seriously. It's just so fucking bad. What else is there? So yeah, there's a local election thing there, but they're still in low numbers. 7%, 4% there for votes as well. Again, it absolutely fucking failed. Yeah, again, this just feels like a joke, but yeah, at a certain point, it just makes me wonder, do we fucking need a country at this point? It's something I've been thinking about, because I been thinking about the state of the country and how it's been declining ever since 2016, I think, and it's obviously been done by Conservatives and what's the other one we had? I think it's just Conservatives for like 8 years, wasn't it? But also it's just going downhill, especially with Labour and this trans bathroom thing. Again, I'm someone who's not biased, and yet it still rings issues in my head. There are so many lives in danger as a result of Christian law, which, by the way, would advocate for literally demolishing people's lives and rights. And we know that because look at the US. They're pretty much a Christian nation, and everything they've done is pretty horrific. I'm trying to think of recent examples, like seeing the church stuff, and also like the televangelism. It's just awful. You don't want that for this country. That's not restoring Britain, it's reversing it. Yeah, I don't really know what else to add here. But certainly it makes me want to migrate, because I feel like a fucking outcast here. It feels like a genuine shithole. And in that sense, I'll probably look into, if I ever did migrate to another country, maybe Scots actually, Scots seem kind of fair. But if I did migrate there, I'd also want to fund other people and minorities to get out of Britain. With a reasonable fund to get somewhere, and also like an organisation for that as well. So maybe it's like Scottish owned, and that's another thing for another day though. Basically leave all the fascists here to fuck their own country over. That's basically my plan with that anyway. Don't know what else to add, to be honest. It just feels like a load of bullshit once again. And it's the same old narrative, like, woe is me, Islam is taking over, Jews are taking over. It's fucking horrific. This is what the country's heading towards, and it's what's going to destroy it. Not to mention, again, the fact that Elon Musk is behind it is, that's extremely suspicious. Must be funding. Also, like, Tommy Robinson probably has some involvement here too. Anyway, there's not much else to say on this, but Restore Britain is again fucking satire. It's just reform again. It's literally all it is. But perhaps a bit worse because it's again under the guise of Christian law. But it reminds me of this saying, actually, there's no sort of love like Christian hatred. Basically meaning Christianity has been hijacked by absolute radical ideas, ironically, as I mentioned that against Islam for some reason, not Jews, not anyone else. But they specifically, they are actually sort of radical and extremists in terms of hateful Christians, because I know Christians that aren't like that, who instead use love as the primary reason for getting people on board or recruiting them. And even their religions should be aware that in order to have solidarity and peace, you need to not be at each other's throats. It's just one of the most fucking obvious things. Yet people don't listen to that. And also, like, what happens to atheists in a Christian law? Like, what happens to them? Seemingly not good things, and seemingly maybe deportations as well. Like, it's again fucking horrific. And on top of that, they say like deport them, but how do you even intend on doing that? Because the US said they would, but you can't do that without the correct things here. So you need a service that deports them. You need a company that deports them from both sides, so one that receives and one that obviously deports. And then you need like official documentation. Not to mention passports, visas. Like, how the fuck do you even intend on doing it? Every time I see these deportation things, I often wonder, what sort of official documentation do you actually need to get into the country? You know, the one they're being deported to. I can guarantee you it's not that simple, it's not easy, and it's going to cost fucking billions to even realistically achieve. And if you deport them, how? Boats? Trains maybe, or even planes, somehow. It just doesn't seem possible to me. Now what? And again, one of the things I can sort of get on board with in terms of these narratives is putting our nationality first. So yes, we should prioritise British people in everything. Migrants should come last because we're the ones struggling at this point. Migrants, well, they weren't struggling before reform, but suddenly they are. I could be wrong on that. But at this point, everyone's struggling, and that's why it's become so conflated and confused. People can be sure to call me an idiot all they want. I'm well aware of it. But what the fuck do we even do? I'll just look at the truth here. If you don't like it, it's your problem. You'll get a taste of your own medicine under the things that you believe. It's fucking, I don't know what you call it, like Hitler incarnate, or whatever. Whatever you believe, it's gonna backfire. And you can't come back here and say that I didn't warn you. Because I did fucking warn you. Even then, I'm just an advocate for stomping out fascism. The way we deal with migrants isn't through hatred or violence. It's through actual positive means and trying to understand them. You also don't know why they're migrating. It could be that their country's in trouble, that they've lost their home. Migrants aren't the fucking issue, it's you. It's always the problem of the British people. Anyway, don't know what else to add, but it's a fucking tiring narrative. Yeah, I'll move on now. Somehow I forgot to review this, but the My Hero Academia 2 Heroes movie. It's alright. I wouldn't say it's like the best thing I've seen this year. There's some decent moments, but it's just more of the same, really. There's not really anything that differentiates it from the anime, at least to memory. Because this episode took place when Deku started his training, so the movie, I mean. So again, I'm sort of unsure about what that means exactly. So I was trying to figure out what the timeline is. Obviously, like we knew about All for One and Shigaraki, but I don't know about much else, to be honest. It's kind of hard to determine that, actually. So, yeah, like animation, fine, voice acting, fine. Characters are fine, you've got a decent cast there. But there isn't really much else. Well, the story's okay, yeah. That goes without saying, really. But you know, it's one of those things where it's like you won't miss much by avoiding it. But it has some moments for sure. Nothing too special in my opinion. It's just something really. Yeah, what do I even add to that? To be honest, I don't think there is anything I can add. Because it's just a movie and it's based on this universe, obviously. So yeah, it's just kind of like it's really hit or miss in my opinion. I think movies can be good, but they can also be very weird. I know with One Piece movies, I was kind of like, you know, they're not always worth it. Some are, some aren't. But especially because there's no dubs, it makes it hard to watch. So that's always an issue. I wonder if they will dub it at any point. But yeah. Well, that's my thoughts on that, really. There isn't really much else. But it just feels very reminiscent of that. Also, it's surprising how many voice actors, I forgot to say this in the Season 8 review, but I'm surprised how many voice actors I started to recognise after being around sort of anime stuff more often. Or just voice acting gigs in general, you know, where they exist. it always just kind of takes me off guard. Catches me off guard, right? So I just don't expect it usually, but yeah. Well, we don't really have anything else to be honest. But, you know, it's a thing, I'm sure. So, yeah. That's my thoughts on the movie. I guess I could recommend it as a fan of My Hero Academia. But there isn't really much going on there, in all honesty. It also feels like they've pulled a character out of their arse and, yeah, just stuck with it. Anyway, let's move on. I almost forgot about this, and it's probably a good way to de-stress, but also stress myself out again, so here we go. My headphones stopped working when I threw them off, and I'm not talking about that actually, but I just wanted to mention this, just to be clear, I'm not talking about the thing I'm talking about yet. Yeah, I basically punched the wall, fucking showering, and because someone making a weird noise in the house. Don't know who the fuck it is, but it's very irritating. I keep hearing it. It sounds louder than anything I have in my room, so it feels very unnecessary, whatever it is. Someone should be fucking punched in the face for that. But anyway, there's a problem with this topic I'm going to talk about, but 10 years of Overwatch. Yeah, it's surprisingly been that long since the release of it, and it's also one of the few games that pulled me away from TF2 for the longest period of time, which is pretty nuts, in my opinion. Because Overwatch was definitely very special when it first came out. It was one of a kind, it was unique, it's fun, it had great gameplay design and philosophy, didn't take itself too seriously either. Until the competitive updates, which is where I began to get shit, and admittedly the loot boxes were shit back then. Knowing that was like a controversy, and I used to be one of those believers who said that, oh, you buy it for the developers, because you support them, give them money somehow. That's not how it fucking works. Because they still get their money, and the developers don't get any. So frankly, it's an injustice, and that's like buying a specific one to support a developer, but that's not really fair. Because there's probably hundreds of them on that, so that's always been a shitty aspect. But I remember when Overwatch 2 was announced, and I was just secret reviews. I remember all the hero announcements before that actually, so I kind of got fond memories from that. I've had insane games, I've had insane moments, fun moments too, obviously. That's the main thing that I take away from it. There's some great skin ideas and stuff, and they are better in Overwatch 2 admittedly, but I don't want to play it because it's FOMO. They have FOMO skins. So no. But anyway, I remember every hero, every map reveal and stuff and everything getting interesting, and I remember the custom games as well. Custom games were really special. They held a special place in my heart because of the Overwatch Wear mod and other things as well, the 1 versus 11 boss mode, I believe it was. That was very fun. It's a very lost thing now, I think, probably with Overwatch 2 being so competitive. But I just remember there's so many of the updates and being kind of satisfied with them, but also not. And the hero balances and stuff. I remember when Hanzo still had his broken arrow. I remember when Torbjorn had armor and Symmetra had shields. Like, I even remember when Anna released and stuff and how cool she was, and even like Brigitte, for example, it was absolutely broken on launch, but that was on purpose, it seems. But obviously when Overwatch 2 was announced, it's kind of like, yeah, this sucks. It didn't need to happen. People wanted PvE, and there was no PvE at all. It's being teased, being developed, but never happened. They even had a fucking trailer for it, if I remember correctly. So that happened. We got a competitive game instead of a single player game, which really fucking sucked, especially for Overwatch, which had a fair amount of lore. And admittedly, I was one of the people who kind of liked the lore. Ironically enough, that lore feels so relevant. Like, even though it's like technically AI discussion, I'm not really referring to the AI, believe it or not. I'm referring to the what's going on in politics at the moment. it just feels very reminiscent of that, ironically, and yeah, they really squandered it with having Overwatch 2 being a thing. And yeah, and all the systems introduced for that sucked. I remember the launch day, I remember weeks later there was controversies everywhere, every news channel was talking about it. And it just got really out of hand. I tried it 2 games and I fucking hated it. I didn't want to play it anymore. Removing a tank was a bad idea. Making it more competitive was a bad idea. The role things were a bit stupid in my opinion, especially for casual, even though they are no casual anymore. It sucked. And they just fucked it. And even with more recent updates, like I think it's like 9-year anniversary, I believe, of the game's release. They added new things. They added a bunch of new heroes, a new story supposedly, but with PvE elements. And yeah, but they weren't getting anywhere soon. They said they were bringing back loot boxes, but again, it's shit, because the problem with that is loot boxes were gambling, and nobody liked that. But the season pass was shit because it was limited, and as we know, the skins are also limited. So you kind of fucked over your own players for no other reason than like money. There's no other reason why you'd actually do something like this. So easily some of the worst parts of Overwatch 2, and I have to talk about specifically heroes next, because when it comes to Overwatch 2 heroes, they've been very questionably designed. Some not so surprising, like I'm trying to think, what was that one that released recently that's kind of like, I can't remember the name now, I could look it up, I probably forgot. There's a sword hero which I quite like the looks of, Overwatch 2 heroes. Interesting they still have the site. I'm not saying they've removed the 2 now. I forgot about that. I'm a bit confused. Oh, March was kind of interesting, but he's not new. What the fuck? He's old, eh? Kiriko, I think that was it. Kiriko is kind of an interesting design. Knife Weaver eventually. They're quite iconic heroes, but then this new one that they have out, which everyone's supposedly testing and breaking, happens to be Jetpack Cat, and this is the most insane hero they've added, I think. It's fucking crazy. So every time I go onto my YouTube shorts, it's just, anytime it's Overwatch, it's clips of Jetpack Cat. Every single fucking time. And the strategies are just fun and insane. But what's kind of funny though is, even though Jetpack Cat is easy to counter, it's funny for the views, and that also adds a casual aspect. Weirdly enough, it brings back an element that was missing from Overwatch before. Because they also removed more things, but it's the casual element where they don't take things too seriously, and seemingly after months of having Jetpack Cat out, they haven't actually changed the design. It's still the same. You can still pull around a Roadhog or whoever, like any sort of hero you want. You can pull around a Mercy and then constantly fly. That's what makes the game fun, and if they keep that up, they could be onto a winner with that sort of thing. But at this point they've also done too much damage, so it's a sad reality that even though they're trying to make a comeback, they're not going to beat Marvel Rivals, because that was the biggest competitor towards the game. And they're not going to beat it by doing these really tone-deaf things like adding a loot box again. They're going to do it by making a fun game first and foremost, but also one that's fair in monetization. So, say I want to go back and revisit maybe, was it My Hero Academia or Attack on Titan? They collabed with one of the animes, but I found it interesting that he did that, and also Transformers. But say I wanted to go back and visit it and, you know, just play it, because play with the skins, I mean. Why can't I do that? And also, what about these mythic skins as well? That seemingly have come and gone. You can't seemingly unlock them anymore, so again the game's fucking over for no reason other than profit, it seems, and FOMO. And that's specifically why I don't touch the game. You can call me petty all you want. But the fact is, I don't like FOMO. I know when I'm being exploited now. I've gotten used to this over the years. It comes to something like TF2 or Counter-Strike or earlier Overwatch. Earlier Overwatch, Owl was pretty bad. Overwatch League skins, and they're still FOMO. Still can't get them as far as I'm aware. I swear there's other games in between, like, I don't know, there probably are others somewhere, but they always have these elements of FOMO, and I know, Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail, they're pretty heavy on the FOMO, even though they try to make it out that they're not FOMO. The thing is, FOMO events are still FOMO. So there's still fear of missing out on the events because they removed them after every patch. And you only get limited time to do it. And since I've stopped playing like 5.6 was it? 5.7? Fuck. Didn't you? I've not played it for an entire patch cycle, so in a sense it's like not worth even coming back because I've missed so many events. I've missed out on gold. It reminds me of when Arataki Ito was singing on the events, and that was like one of the most amazing moments because it's like jaw-droppingly good. It was like so unexpected. And you know, Ito is such a great character in that game, and it's unfortunate that say a character like this is in a crappy game like that. It's weird. But Genshin Impact was full of FOMO, even limited characters. So for example, FOMO element, because people say, oh, they run back, you're not missing out if they come back, but you are. Every bit of currency you can squeeze out of the game is gone because you can't get the recent characters. They inflate the HP constantly, so nobody actually benefits. And yeah, you just get fucked over. You get nothing for your money either, so if you do gamble on money, well, you're not getting anything. It's just a dice roll, it's still 50-50. Even then the prices of things and then the amount you have to grind for and seemingly succeed in as well, because let's not forget the currency can often be limited to the endgame factors like Imaginary Theatre and Spiral of Abyss, and that causes issues. And that's also a FOMO element, because you miss out on those, you can't really do anything, and sometimes you waste your time, you like squeeze it by like an inch or so, I don't know what to call it actually. You squeeze in just too short a time or too short an effort and you lose. And it's just not rewarding at all. You feel frustrated in the end, and it's still fucking filled with that FOMO element. Because if you don't have the most recent character, you won't actually succeed. So again, FOMOs are still bad, no matter how you look at it. And even Honkai Star Rail was the same thing. In fact, it's probably a bit worse, from what I remember, because you had such limited resources that you didn't know what to do with them. But anyway, well, you did know what to do with them, but you just ran out. That's the problem. But no, I was talking about the issue with Overwatch 2, obviously, here, and it still is an issue, in my opinion. As far as I know, anyway. Overwatch 2 really fucked up its opportunity, and you know, for 10 years, obviously, it's impressive that it's still going, but you know, its time has come and gone. It's been replaced with the likes of not just Marvel Rivals, but Friends Swap and something like Helldivers. Hopefully one day it'll be D-Rock Galactic, because frankly it's underrated at this point. But yeah, it feels disappointing that it still has FOMO. What are you doing? It just doesn't make at all any sort of, I can't say the word again. It's just not fun, it's not enjoyable. They only have themselves to blame, because this is what they brought upon themselves. You could have had a fairly fun, casual experience catered to both types of players, but instead you just went this route. And what disappointment. I wouldn't say happy 10 years, because to be honest, it's more like happy 5 years, because that's about the time it took for the game to just get shit. And then Overwatch 2 replacing it, and at some point, was it 2022 or 2023? I can't remember now. And that's what was so fucking disappointing. I remember people thinking there's a lot of potential in that and stuff, but it turns out not really. And also the fact they replaced the original game with it is also a big problem. That's why I see an issue with having, see the 1 replaced with 2, and then the 2 now being nothing. So there's no 2 in the title anymore. It just gets confusing. This is what I mean with the issues, and they try to act as though they have an idea of what they're doing, but it's not. They don't have an idea. They've lost their best lead on that, Jeff Kaplan, who unfortunately seems to be a bit washed, I think, of that recent release. That was in California, was it? RIP. Yeah, it just doesn't bode well at all. And if they're celebrating 10 years, then they need to come back with some really big changes. Bring back the old Overwatch. So I think that's the only way you're going to get people back. Because people remember it for that, people miss it probably. Especially in these trying times, as they'll say. Yeah, we especially need that. So it is important. Yeah, like also the thing is about the skins. I don't mind that you have to pay a price for them, even if it's like 10 quid, which frankly should be the maximum. But if it's like 10 quid for like 1 skin, you know, don't FOMO it. Don't limit the fucking distribution, because that's going to scare players off. Players don't want to play a game where they can't get the skins they liked, or like rather. If they see a skin that they like, and then it's not there, like, what the fuck are you doing? That's confusing people. Absolute morons. God. It's just so much cringe. I don't know why, but every time I've touched a Blizzard game, it's gone horribly wrong. Heroes of the Storm eventually died out, the esports section got fucking neutered, and then Overwatch became a competitive game, and then obviously we transitioned into 2, which also was shit, and then World of Warcraft. I played during BFA, and it was as shit as there. But it seemed to get worse. The longer I played it, and then Shadowlands, and it's like, I predicted it. I predicted Shadowlands would fail. People are laughing at me. Like, this is the sort of communities they bring around, which is embarrassing as fuck. They really have some delusional communities there at Blizzard, it seems, which they don't seem to want to control. Weirdly enough, it's probably some of the most progressive communities you can have, politically speaking, but is also among the most toxic, which is also very strange. I guess maybe it's mental health thing, maybe it's other things. Maybe a lot of people actually who are snowflakes. I consider the anti-woke people snowflakes. They have absolute meltdowns over any sort of thing related to woke. Yeah, but I suppose that's the only thing I could. I've watched Bronzor. At least it's still a bit woke, from what I can tell anyway. Yeah. I don't really have anything else to add, but unhappy 10-year anniversary Overwatch. I'll see you in the news probably. What if Pokemon had a racing game? I've got thinking about this because of a random post that doesn't really seem like a decent idea. Sorry. But it's basically saying, like, what if they had another Pokemon fighting game? And yeah, I think it's probably a bit overdone at this point. I'm pretty sure there's 2 types of fighting games in Pokemon. Pretty sure there's like a really old one, then there's Pokken, which is a more recent example. But I think they still have a lot of ways to possibly make the genre a bit better, and use Pokemon a bit better for that matter. One of the ones I'm thinking of is Pokemon Racing. So imagine one where you just do, I don't know, like obstacles and items, but also loadouts, and even then use like moves and stuff to compete in the race. So say you go like from a land-based Pokemon, so obviously it has to be like either ground, electric, or whatever it is, and then they go along the race along a track. But then they do a baton pass to either flying or water. And then there could even be like a psychic realm where only psychic, dark, and ghost could go, like some sort of other realm. It's just an insane idea that could potentially work. And the best part is it's all to do with Pokemon. There could literally be like competitive racing if it's done well. It should be probably really fun to watch, a bit better than the move-based stuff. Because, I'm tired of the slop that they serve out with Pokemon, at least with the, what is it, like Pokemon Unite, is it? Even like TCG, I just find them bad, in all honesty. But I think a Pokemon racing game could go hard. Imagine being like a Jolteon and then you move into, let's say maybe another fast Pokemon. Like, probably the rule has to be, it has to be a Pokemon over something speed. But they can make up for it with like the other stats, so defense. If that's higher, it could mean that that could be just changed, couldn't it? So all stats could change. So even Pokemon that aren't really fast can get a chance. And you just tune it. But they can't reach the maximum, obviously, but they have other abilities, so defense and special defense will help against seeming attacks, so that they stay through the races often. It'd be pretty damn fun, I think. And even an attack would probably reduce again those sort of things, and HP basically would be replaced with stamina, I think, because there'd probably have to be a stamina bar. But it would be such a cool idea. Imagine doing like again the land races into sort of like Sonic Racing Transformed sort of style thing, or Mario Kart, whatever it's called, World, Mario Kart World, I'm an idiot. And just have those different types of ground to tread and air, for that matter, water. But it's just a cool idea. I'd like to see that. I wonder if anyone's made it. Races of Pikachu, so even abilities could possibly serve a benefit. So something like Volt Tackle, and maybe a bit too overpowered, but it can be rebalanced, I suppose. So even then, something like, I don't know if any like quadruped Pokemon could learn. Was it bipedal? I can't remember. I think it's quadruped, or I could be wrong. Something like Jolteon, but maybe the Flareon can learn Flame Wheel and use that as like a speed up mechanic. So it's about reinventing that sort of ability stuff and making it work. Even then, you have those abilities where you can effectively do more damage on an opponent, reduce their stamina further, so they have to gain more of it. And yeah, I see that being pretty fun. With dual types, I think it probably goes without saying, but we probably can't have quadruple weakness effect. And also, to be honest, like something like normal Pokemon stuff could do with like a type difference sort of thing. So because they're not super effective against anyone, they also can't be like vulnerable in that sense. So again, it's sort of changing the groundwork in a way. But I'd imagine the dog fights and the water fights are probably the racing in that would be really interesting. Yeah, like a Pokemon team of 3 and you just baton pass, maybe even 4, so you have like 2 ground races and either 2 water, 2 flying, or 1 water, 1 flying. So I think that can really be an interesting thing. Yeah, I don't really know what to add, but That's pretty much what I'm thinking of at the moment. Yeah, it'd be a fun idea. I'm not gonna lie, it's has potential. I think that as as a fan of Pokemon, it's something that I could see myself trying. And I want to try the other Pokemon games out there. So like Pokemon Snap, maybe. I'm not 100% sure about that though. But yeah, it depends on the game, obviously. I think the more they sort of expand into those other things, the better. In some way, it can also do things better than the other games. So even then, if they do a racing game, they could maybe potentially add an open world. So they do like an area from every region, which would be fucking insane. That'd be so cool. They do like the best regions from those and stuff, and best of all, they could probably even make it a PC game. So it even has that potential to be playable through another console. It could be one of the first of its type, of its kind. Because it doesn't need to be a fucking handheld game. I don't know. That's essentially what I'm thinking of. Okay, so yeah, let's move on. I'm tired of this accusation every fucking time I bring it up. So I'm trying to get help with making music, and people just seem to be nitpicking at things, saying that some confidence issues and attitude problem, it's whatever. Apparently I'm the one holding myself back, despite what I currently have. Like 7+ diagnoses under my belt. And they're telling me that I'm holding myself back. Like, how? I just don't fucking get it. It doesn't make any sense. I've got a bit of my handwriting in front of me, which does not look normal. I've done handwriting since school, and it still doesn't look normal at all. You know, I was writing this on a proper flat surface with no impedances or anything. My hand's been fine, and it still turns out wrong. And yet people still can't read it. And I've handed my like these writings to people before, and they've commented how bad it is. I've done the same with artwork, and they've commented how bad it is. I've done the same with music, and also had comments on how bad it is. So what is it? Or what even is the fucking trick at this point? Because as far as I'm aware, it's not working. I don't know how I'm supposed to address these problems. If I copy something, it's just never working the way it should. Even then, I've copied things literally, and it just doesn't work. So I have no idea. I don't know what it's even doing, and people don't even explain some things rather. I'll go through some of those comments again, because I got one bit of useful advice that I haven't tried yet, which is using songs to, using my favourite tracks to balance out the mix, which is honestly such a good idea, which I've never even considered before. So basically I copy the same mix as they do, assuming it's available. Yeah, and then there's people assuming that there's a magic wand for all my mental health issues. Someone saying that I need to stop seeking sympathy. Like what? I wasn't fucking doing that. I was actually just saying a fact. I failed to make music. It's always a struggle for me. I spend weeks on this, and it doesn't turn out right, ever. Even when it does, it's not as good as it could be. Despite everything I've tried, once again, it just doesn't work out. There's people that for some reason commenting on how I need an interface. I've tried that. People are suggesting things that I've literally been and done that before, and they don't work. Literally had a Steinberg MK2 for the interface, and the entire thing fucking lagged my system, and it also didn't work properly. I could barely get it to work, and even then, when it did sort of work, there was a delay. So it's just not optimal in the slightest at all. Someone, for some reason, saying I don't need headphones. What? That's just really fucking dumb. I wear headphones for a specific reason. Sensory issues. Then I also have them to track music. So that's why they're there. So I don't get fucking behind of it. I don't have to explain it. And apparently I don't need an 8-string, even though I play 8-string tracks. So that's a bit dumb. Band pickups. Yeah, my Orsby Shark has terrible pickups compared to the X-shapes I have behind me. So that also doesn't make sense. They are literally bad pickups. The X-shape is just much better. I've even tested this with Rocksmith and the difference is night and day. And apparently I need a better attitude. Yeah, I tried that. But it's not an attitude problem, it's my fucking mental health. Bloody idiots. I don't get it. Why are people so confused about rather not understanding of mental health and how it actually impacts people? Because this to me is like the biggest thing. And it shouldn't be an issue because anyone who actually understands mental health, nobody does it seems. Yeah. It's actually literally that's the issue. People not understanding it and then me getting the blame because nobody understands the mental health and the issues it causes me. And physical health, which impacts mental health as well. They're just very fucking dangerous and lazy, to be honest. There's no good excuse for all these things. I just don't understand the logic here. What? It's just so fucking bad. But I felt like bringing this up because, once again, it's one of these things where the comments just do not make sense. I've literally tried everything and I literally titled this, all it's like to have tried everything to help myself and failed. And it is quite crushing really, because it makes you realise that you haven't actually got long left on the planet. Because you're either going to die by suicide or quote unquote accident. And that's the only way it can go. I don't know any other way it could go, to be honest. Even when I have good days, it's like they're only brief. They don't happen as frequently as they should. And even that's like a heat wave, and I can't really say the weather's nice because it's fucking hot. But again, that feels crushing when it's actually sunny out, and having had many days of grey skies and clouds and shit, which aren't so nice, it's refreshing to have sunlight. But people bring that down, they immediately put grey clouds not just in the sky but in my mind as well. And that, again, just completely shadows everything here. It masks everything that could have been the real me or something. And, I try with these things. I try with music, I try with art, I try with games even, and I still struggle. Yeah, I get the blame for everything. It's like, and at this point, it might just be worth calling people out for what they are, which are fucking ableists and people in mental health. So I guess like suicide persisters is probably what I call them, because that's what I call the suicide hotlines now. The suicide prevention hotlines, rather. Suicide persisters because they don't actually help. and I've tried them so many times in the past, even tried them recently, I think, and they didn't get back to me. They're absolutely useless, and they just don't have a good reason to exist. I don't really know what to add, to be honest. It's incredibly frustrating to be in this situation. I'm seeking ways and thinking constantly about how I can address this and how I can make things better for myself, how I can care for myself, because that's the thing I got accused of a lot. And so I am caring for myself, but it doesn't do anything. So it's once again a fucking mystery. It seems like nothing really works, nothing can actually help. And that's, yeah, and what, so I don't know what to do, so how do I, but also for what I need to do, I don't know. It's really difficult to say. I don't know what to add. Yeah, I guess pretty much done there, I guess, I suppose. But, yeah, anyway, I'm gonna move on and try and distract myself, I suppose. Not guaranteed, is it? How things go, and I think in general, I don't know. As I said, exhausted all options, don't bother suggesting anything at this point, because it just won't happen. I think what people will probably want to see in me is, whilst that's a good motivation for myself, because I don't really follow my selfish desires really, and I don't really have a reason to. I just have to do what other people say, given there's a reason. And sort of the smart thing to say, like someone literally told me to quit and just said yes. But I asked why, and didn't get a response. I did actually, but it was a really shit response. And saying something about me seeking approval, what's the reason for that? I said yes. If I you, what? You need to ask others for approval for you to create, then you've lost support. It's not even seeking approval, it's seeking advice. I'm saying, I don't think I can make music, and then people are saying, you can, but you need to do this, like fair enough, I get that. And then people suddenly make it a big fucking deal out of my mental health issues and act as if they've got the magic wand solution, which by the way doesn't exist. And that's extremely concerning. I don't know why people act that delusionally. It's literally a sign of delusional. It's probably a syndrome actually. I don't know if it exists, but it has to be one. People delude themselves into that sort of thing. They think there is actually a solution. They think because depressants work, antidepressants work for someone, they know all themselves. They think it works for everyone else. That's not how it works at all. There's no such thing as a magic wand. Even then it has to be demonstrably proven that it does work. So I'm extremely tired of this. It's not really a discussion I like having, because again, people just make it so contrived it's hard to even focus and make a response. When the reality is it comes down to my mental health issues, the state of mind. If it's OCD or anxiety or autistic burnout or whatever depression I have at this point. As I think it might be autistic burnout, but it's hard to say. But I'm on that, I have other things that aren't diagnosed, so ADHD, dyspraxia, I already know I have learning difficulties, but yeah, so I don't know what's that. But I suppose is the crux of the issue here. Don't really know what else I can do, so yeah, I might as well end the podcast as well. So I suppose if I make a say one.